Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is just a small introductory demo workshop about my signature live performance course. I'm going to be actually just doing to begin with, I'll be doing like a small demo performance, and then I'll explain what the setup is and how I'm actually going about it and how I construct the live sets from this using all of this stuff. So I'll just start with a small performance so then you can see how we do it, and then later on I will break it down as to how this whole thing actually works together. Okay, so that was a quick rundown of how you could actually um, really layer your stuff and layer different sounds and really make your live sets very interesting. I mean, it's almost like DJing, but a bit taking it to the next level by just incorporating different elements and different effects and things like this. So I'll do a quick rundown as to how these things are working, what my exact setup is, and then you get an idea. So cue here. So if you look at my project here, usually I have 2 tracks or maybe 3 channels just for all my tracks here. I have some basic drums that I programmed, another a single shot drum, some other samples, effects samples. I've also have another synth here, and then there's an external synth which is not inbuilt in Ableton, but I'll explain this more later. But overall, these are the elements that's in here. So, and all of them is actually going into this mixer. Over here, I have a guitar pedal. This is actually really good for any kind of cool effects, delay effects that you want. And I'm using this particularly because I want a particular character, a particular sound for using this delay. And then I have the push 2. This also, so it's actually controlling my live set. So at the heart of it, this is how my setup looks, and all of this is actually fed into the new Pioneer mixer. Now this is a beast of a mixer because this one really allows me to actually combine all my sounds, morph, and do different kind of tricks and effects. And pretty much this is the heart of my live sets. Now over the years, I've used Pioneer, the DJM 900, and all the other mixers as the heart of my live sets because I like to use the inbuilt sound card, which means I don't have to carry another sound card, and this is always a problem when you're traveling, when you're doing festival sets. Sometimes setups are small, the decks are small, and you have no time, place to keep your sound card and everything. And the mixer sound card is super sturdy and handy, and you can really. What I really love about it is that you can use now all the 4 channels. I mean, when you're using a sound card, sometimes you're just limited to just using 2 or maybe 1. I've seen most people just using 1 or 2, and here you have full creativity. I mean, there is no limits here. You can really control your set. So over the last 7-8 years, pretty much my live sets have been using the mixer and using all its channels and effects. And especially with this new V10, combining all this with this one, it's really amazing. So I'll just quickly show you why this particular setup works for me. So this little guy here is mostly for effects and a certain type of effect. So let's play this. So as you can see, I'm using these samples, which is actually controlled using the push. So I can actually go into the push, go into the sample, and actually control it live through the push, all its parameters, the samples, the loop length, and everything. So this allows me to really control, and I want a particular type of effect to go on top of the tracks that I'm playing. So this allows me to combine the push to and the samples that's playing from Ableton, controlling it from here, and sending it to this here, and sending it to this here. Now this gives me a lot of flexibility or makes your sounds quite unique because it's just going through this particular one. So I'm using just this one, just for a particular type of sound, like this kind of spring kind of delayed effect. That is what I'm actually using this for, nothing else. So all these tiny effects, I actually run through this, and then it goes into the mixer, and this is being actually controlled by the mixer. So what makes this mixer also really special, because it has two external control synths, which means now I can connect maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say effect units. Could be a distortion, could be a delay, could be a reverb, anything. The more ones you have, it's actually really cool. So you can actually switch between them, and you can now send it using its send functions to different channels individually. So there is actually no limits here. You can actually really go creative. And on top of that, you can use its inbuilt effects on top of that to make more variations and creations, more creative stuff. And here I have here I have some drums. So now this is also individually being triggered on each channel. So you can see I'm also controlling the drums individually through each channels. You can have only so many different types of drums and switch between them, and yeah, control it through the effects that's within this. I mean, I have the option to control it using this particular effect, and also ones that is in the mixer. So the ones in the mixer itself, you can also do some really cool things, which I'll just show you right now. And what you can do is, what is really also really good about this mixer is that before in all the Pioneer ones, you were able to control only one effect at a time. I'm talking about these ones that you see on the left-hand side. With this one, now you have 6 effects here, including the 2 external ones. And now you can actually combine 2. So for example, I can actually combine a short delay and a reverb together, or an external, or anything, any combination actually. So for example, now if I want this particular kind of drum to have both the effects, that means I'm combining the power of both the external effect and the inbuilt effect to create some new variations. So that's some of its, that's the ones that you have. These are the sound effects that you can combine with each and every channel to make it really cool. Like there's a lot of combinations that you can do with just this alone. So that's pretty much in general how I usually play. I usually have, typically I will have two, three, maybe 3 channels for my tracks, which I kind of DJ, and previously in the old Pioneer mixers, you have then, let's say, 1 channel remaining to add the rest. Let's say that's for effects or other samples and stuff. So the great with the V10, now you have 6 channels, right? So 6 channels, you can combine all sorts of stuff. So now I have, you here? So now I have let's say 2 tracks here for, 2 channels here for DJing the tracks, drums, samples, and synths, etc., etc. So I have a lot of flexibility to really morph the sets. Depending also on the kind of music that you do. Maybe for your style of music or other kinds of music, maybe you don't need that kind of complexity. But this is especially for the style of music that I play, or even for techno or some other stuff. It's nice to have all these things so that you can really make your tracks stand apart differently. So the reason why I particularly use this function is because this way. It's because I'm actually sort of playing my tracks as it is, but then I'm adding all this stuff on top of it, so to make it a bit different, right? So that's the whole idea of live sets. You can also play the track. You can also play it from scratch, but then it becomes a bit more loopy and it takes a bit more time. Especially if you want to do more complex stuff, it takes some time to probably build your set. So in this way, it's more like a hybrid setup where you have your tracks, and then you have all these little things that you can combine to do cool things. So now those are the sound effects that I use, and then it has some really cool stuff that you can use on the master effects. So I use some of this, and it also has cue here. It also has this cool thing called the isolator. So what this does is that it actually isolates a particular frequency of the entire thing. So it's really good for making kind of big build-ups for all the sounds. So I'll just do a quick demonstration as to what you can do with that or how it works. So as you can see, a lot of cool tricks right here. So you can pretty much imagine that once I play from all the stuff from here, from the push, from this, from all fed into this, and combining all these effects using 6 channels, you can really, really push your performance to another level. And that is what live sets are good for. The idea of live sets is to have this kind of performance to really kind of make yourself stand apart, or your set stand apart as opposed to traditional DJ set. And that's why I really enjoy playing live sets a lot, because of this flexibility. Before with the Pioneer mixer, the old one, we just had 4 channels, and now we have 6. I mean, 2 extra channels that can allow you to really sort of morph your sounds and layer all these kind of things. I mean, these functions are here for you to do all these things. So I would highly suggest to make the most of make the most of this mixer, or when you have the opportunity, that is. And the reason why I said it also is because as going forward, like how the Pioneer 900s were the industry standard, pretty soon we're going to see probably the V10 also as an industry standard. So once that comes into picture, you can combine all these things to make your sets stand apart. I mean, pretty much you can do the same thing, almost the same thing. I mean, pretty much the same thing with the 900 mixer, minus that you don't have these 2 effects and the ability to control external sound card, external delays or effects units separately. So that's a bit of a drawback. You can also do in the 900, but it takes a bit more work around, and it's only available on 1 channel. So you will not have that flexibility. But once it comes into picture as a standard unit in most clubs, most festivals, I would highly recommend using this setup. And even if it's not there, if you're still going back to the 900s, the old 900s, I really, really recommend using the inbuilt sound card in that, so you don't have to carry your old sound card, get it, pack it and all that stuff. I mean, I still see a lot of guys doing this and, just playing off 1 channel. I mean, it's quite boring. So when you have the ability to do things like this, why not? So that's how you keep it apart. Now, let's say not everybody probably has an access to push or FX units or etc. That's fine. That's also absolutely fine. You can also use another controller. But actually, I also use this launch control one. This is actually really good. It's actually built for Ableton, so you can have all faders and basic send returns and some other things that you can control, muting, solo, and it's really a very handy one, and I highly recommend this for your live sets. I've seen a lot of people use it, and it's really kind of a favorite amongst a lot of artists. So this one I would highly recommend in case you do not have access to a push or any other things. Now, another thing that I also run in this here is, as you can see, I have Q here. I have a synth here. So the synth also I play on top of the tracks. So something like this. So as you can see, I'm also using a synth here. That's the Ableton wavetable synth. So this, I've already programmed the notes and everything here, but using this, it adds another extra dimension to the track. So I will play the track. On top of it, I play the synth. And cool thing is, now once I play the synth, because the push allows me to have more flexibility to play around with the synth while the track is playing, while everything is in sync, right? So. So as you can see, I'm actually playing a synth on top of my sounds. So you can do a lot of cool things here, and like you can play as the synth is playing. You can change its position, the cutoff, and and if you want, you can actually change the preset, everything. So all this can be done live while you're actually playing. Now, obviously, this would I would recommend that you set it up first rather than programming the notes while you're playing, because when you make live sets, it takes a little bit of preparation, like any rehearsal or anything for that matter. So I would suggest that you, whatever synth that you want to program, set it up first in your live set so that you can play it seamlessly later, right? Having said that, it's better that you use inbuilt Ableton synths because of the low CPU and everything. I mean, you can load other synths like a Serum or Massive or whatever, but they are super high on CPU. So unless you have a really strong computer, I wouldn't really recommend it. Running the ones from Ableton would be a better idea, in my opinion, right? So this is how I would pretty much approach most of my dance music oriented stuff, or anything that's techno, trance, or any 4x4 things like this. Now, having said that, it's also really great for people who are, let's say, into electronica, ambient, down tempo, that kind of stuff. I mean, this method of playing, it's really appeals to everybody. So I'm going to show you another way, if you're an electronica person, ambient person, down tempo, whatever style you're making of that sort, how you can actually also use this to your benefit to play live sets really, let's say, more impromptu and more live and more spontaneous, right? So let's check it out. So, since we're attempting something like an electronic or ambient, obviously I'm going to turn down the tempo here, which obviously is so easy to control. Also from the push, let's say I'm going down to 110, maybe 100, whatever. Let's say 108. And what I've done here is, I actually have another external synth. It's called the Terrell. It's fairly low CPU, and it's actually it's also nice to use, especially if you're making this kind of music. So what we're going to do is we're going to try a little ambient kind of test to see how this works. And so you can also, people who like this kind of music as well, you can also see how you can use this to use this in a very intuitive, fun way, right? So let's try it. So, as you can see, this was completely impromptu. I mean, the only thing that I had was just basically, I used the same synths that I was using for the faster stuff. I mean, the ones that I already programmed, and the loops was already in here. So I just triggered it, and then the rest I was just playing live, right, pretty much. So if you're making something like an ambient or electronica or anything that's down tempo, so you can actually use the push to your advantage, use it like a synth, and you know, really play. You can actually just jam with anybody. Like when you're playing a set, you can bring in a guy who wants to play girl, sorry. You can bring anybody who can play guitar, play drums, play flute or whatever. Like just keep jamming while you are performing. So this again gives you so much flexibility to use the push and the effects unit and all combine all this. So as you can see, I was actually using all of this, and a combination of all of this and the inbuilt mic effects to create something, let's say, ethereal or unique, you know. So, and this setup really allows me to have that flexibility. I mean, I can add more stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can add another delay effect unit, another distortion effect unit, or any kind of unit that allows me to really play with all these things. So, what's more important to understand is that when you're playing live sets, imagine if you're a band, right? If you're a band and you're going to play live, you need to have rehearsals, right? So it's very important that you actually prepare your live sets ahead of time. The reason is because it's not like traditional DJing where you come to play a gig, you have your tracks, and then you just start DJing, and you can also probably go a bit on the fly. You can do something similar here, but you do not want to be in a position where you are going through the samples and finding the right kind of samples and, let's say, adding a synth right there. I mean, you can add the synth right there, right then and there, live, but it's a little bit better when you prepare a little bit ahead so that, you know, your performance goes seamlessly. Now the thing is, with playing live, or playing live sets, the beauty of it is that it need not always will be everything like in sync, like a DJ set. Or I mean, most of it is synced, but the beauty of it is that maybe the occasional mistakes that you would make, but that's okay. I mean, people are understanding that you're actually making an effort. I mean, in today's world, you will see all kinds of people just playing pre-recorded sets, just you know, opening the laptop and just putting one big file there and doing all these kind of things. And then you have real artists or real musicians, like a band or whatever, like playing really live. So the idea here is that you kind of match that kind of performance, but in a very electronic way. But this hybrid kind of setup requires a bit of preparation, and it's good actually, because if you have the preparation, if you have everything set already, it just becomes a lot more easier. So that's what I usually do. Cue here. So usually I'm having maybe three channels just for my tracks, and you can also do different things here. I mean, if you prefer to bit more live than it usually is, you can actually go into your project and take out some sounds from your original track and drop that in here. And that's what I did here, right here, which is basically I've taken 2 of my tracks and I've removed some sounds from it, and I've loaded here. So on top of that, I have all these other things that's playing on top of it. So it becomes not probably a little bit too much. Again, depending on the style of music that you are making, you may want to cut down or add. That's really upon you, how you want to progress your sets. But the real fun of it is when you actually start to layer everything together. And to do all that stuff, you can obviously do it like I was showing here. I mean, I was improvising a little bit here and there. It's nice to improvise a little bit with effects and with some other things that you can do. Trigger all these things live, and that kind of improvisation can always be done. And there's a lot more things that you can add. You can add an iPad and a lot of other things as well. This mixer allows you to actually control everything. It actually allows you to control an iPad, other external instruments, anything, especially if it's Pioneer related, drum samplers, synths, etc., whatever. Like, and you can actually control all of it with this one. So having said that, it's like I said, it's very imperative or very important that you prepare your sets ahead of time. because you do not want to be in a position where you're actually performing and you're just probably staring at your computer and trying to find the sample or to load in stuff. I mean, you could do that as well, should you know what samples are in it there and what banks you're going to be using, so that you can trigger them right away. And as you can see, I mean, while I was performing, I'm barely looking at the laptop, right? And this is why the push is super integral to this, because the push acts like everything what you can control from here without even looking at it, and it gives you the ability to actually even play notes, right? So it's almost like when you activate Ableton, it's almost like a synth. It behaves. You can actually use it like a synth and like a sampler and a performance mode. So this is actually really the heart of it. And if you're anybody who wants to take a live performance or live sets more seriously, I highly recommend using a push 2. As you can see, we're just actually scratching the surface here. The possibilities are so much immense. So this is what I like to use the most. I mean, I understand it's a bit bulky. It's not always easy to carry around, but even me myself, I'm not always carrying the push. But whenever I have the opportunity to perform with the push, I tell the organizers, the promoters, I need certain space, etc., etc. So you can give them your rider. A lot of promoters, you can also actually, in case if you're not carrying your push, you can also tell some promoters to give them your tech rider as part of your tech rider. I mean, most should be able to get you one, should you not want to be carrying. And because it's very simple, you just get it, plug and play, your set is already there, and then it's just, you know how to use it as well, right? So you can play it seamlessly pretty much anywhere. So, like I mentioned, we're actually just scratching the surface here. Like what I've just shown here is actually very simple. I mean, there's a lot more things that you can actually do. Like I said, combining the iPad, combining external instruments, and also a lot of stuff within Ableton there's a lot to do actually. So this is part of my course. It's called the Live Performer course. You can actually go to the music school website and actually check the entire course content if you are interested to take part, use this course, because this will really set you apart from the others. I mean, if you're looking to take your performance to the next level, beyond traditional DJing, beyond any kind of, let's say, just DJing in general, then this course would really help you. And especially is also useful for some of you who are, let's say, not even producing their own music, but like to experiment just by using, I know a lot of artists who typically don't make the music, but they're also good in sampling and other things. So if you're someone who's also good into sampling, you can just do a lot of things just via sampling, right? You can also, let's say you're a band, you're like let's say hybrid band, meaning like you have one person who's just, let's say, doing a lot of sampling, and you have another person who is just like a guitarist, flute, drums, whatever, you can also all jam together and perform live. You can actually send some effects, through Ableton, through the guitar, through all the instruments, through Pioneer, through the mixer, and combine all them together to create really cohesive and very spontaneous kind of mixes and sounds, and really make your sets interesting. So I hope you've gotten a little insight as to how I perform, and I hope you've taken some cues from it. This is how I typically perform if I'm given all the tools and I'm able to carry all my tools. Like I said, the stripped down version of this would be just this and the controller, or just this and the push. But if you have the ability to really step up your performance, I would say a combination of all these things. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message or send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer all of this. And if you're interested to take up the course, please go to the music school website and enroll. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. See you later.